All right, we're diving into Leviticus 24. And I know what you might be thinking. Another chapter of ancient rules, right? Well, not exactly. This chapter is actually a high-stakes drama. It's a story told in 3 acts. You've got this sacred, perfect order, then total chaos, and finally the birth of a law that changes everything. So let's get right into it. So think about this for a second. What happens when a sacred law gets broken? Before that law has even been written down? That is the huge question at the heart of this chapter. I mean, a crime goes down that has zero precedent. The whole community just stops. They hold their breath, waiting for an answer. This isn't some dusty legal text, folks. This is a full-on courtroom drama, playing out right in the middle of the desert. Okay, so let's set the stage. Act 1, the sacred order. Our story doesn't start with chaos. No, it's the complete opposite. It's all about perfect secret order. I want you to picture this. We're stepping inside the tabernacle, that holy tent right at the center of the Israelite camp. You can just feel the reverence, right? It's quiet, it's full of ritual, and it's just glowing with this radiant light. So the story kicks off with verses 1 and 2. The first command, light. Let's get a picture in our heads. Imagine a long line of people, and every single one is holding a little clay flask. And inside that flask is the purest olive oil you can imagine. We're talking crystal clear, golden, pressed just for this one thing. This isn't some kind of tax they have to pay. It's everyone chipping in, a whole community working together to keep this sacred flame from ever going out.
All right, verse 3. Now we zoom in on one guy, Aaron, the high priest. Picture him. It's getting dark outside, and he's in the holy tent, all by himself. He's moving with this incredible sense of purpose, And right there is the veil, this huge, heavy curtain separating him from the holiest place on earth. And what's his job? To tend those lamps. All night. Every single night. It's this constant, silent watch.
And in verse 4, we see exactly what he's tending. The menorah. Just try to picture it. It's not just any lampstand. It's forged from one single piece of pure gleaming gold. Absolutely stunning. It's got these 7 branches reaching up, and on top of each one, a flame is burning bright. And that word continually pops up again. That's the whole point. This light can never, ever go out. Okay, so we've got the perpetual light. Now let's shift gears from light to sustenance. We're talking about the bread of presence. This is the second huge ongoing ritual that happens inside this holy place. Verse 5 gets super specific. And this isn't, just any old bread. I want you to see the priests. They're working with these perfectly measured amounts of the absolute finest flour. They're not just baking. It feels more like they're crafting something. They make 12 identical heavy loaves. Why 12? Well, each one stands for one of the 12 tribes of Israel. Now, check out verse 6. This is all about perfect, pristine order. Picture this special table, made of wood, but completely covered in pure gold. And those 12 loaves? They're not just tossed on there. No way. They're set out in 2 perfect, neat rows of 6. The whole image just screams order, a symbol of God's constant provision for all his people. Verse 7 brings in another sense, smell. Now picture a priest. He takes a pinch of pure frankincense, those little white shimmering beads of resin. He carefully sprinkles it on each row of bread. And instantly, this sweet, sacred smell just fills the tent. It's meant to be a memorial offering, something that rises up to God. And verses 8 and 9 lock in the routine, the rhythm of it all. Every single Sabbath, like clockwork, the old bread comes off the table and fresh bread goes on. So what happens to the old loaves? They become a holy meal, eaten only by the priests and only in a holy place. So you see this cycle of light and bread. It's perpetual, a never-ending symbol of the covenant between God and Israel. Okay, so we're comfortable, right? We're in this rhythm of perfect, secret order. And then, bam, the whole scene just shatters. We are yanked out of that quiet, holy sanctuary and thrown right into the noise, the dust, and the heat of the main camp. The story just took a hard left turn. Verse 10, this is where we meet our players. What's happening? A fight. A brawl has broken out in the middle of the camp. On one side, you have a man of Israel. On the other side, a man whose mom is an Israelite, but his dad is an Egyptian. And that little detail, it's absolutely crucial. It hints at the tensions simmering just below the surface of the camp. And then, verse 11, this is the moment everything changes. In the middle of this heated fight, the man with the Egyptian father does something unthinkable. He doesn't just curse the other guy, he curses the name. He blasphemes God. Can you just imagine the sound of that? The way that word would just hang in the hot, dusty air. Everything stops. The fight, the noise, everyone just freezes. A line has been crossed, a line nobody even knew was there. So what do? Verse 12 shows us it's just pure confusion. They grab the guy, they put him in custody, under guard, but then what? Nobody has a clue what to do next. You can almost see Moses and the other leaders just looking at each other, totally stumped. There's no law for this. This has never happened before. They're in completely uncharted territory, and all they can do is wait for a verdict from God. So here's the question hanging over everyone's head. What is the price for cursing God? The whole camp is just frozen in suspense. This one act of chaos has ripped through their sacred community, and their justice system has absolutely no answer. Literally, everything is hanging in the balance.
And now we get the answer. Act 3, the divine law. This is the climax of the whole story. God speaks, and the resolution he provides isn't just for this one guy, it's a whole new legal framework for the entire nation, meant to last forever. The verdict drops in verses 13 and 14, and it's a two-step process. First, imagine this. Everyone who actually heard the curse, they're called to come forward. And they have to publicly identify the man by laying their hands right on his head. It's this powerful, physical act of bearing witness. Then, part 2. The punishment isn't done in secret by some executioner. No, the entire community has to carry it out, together.
Now this is what's so incredible about verses 15 and 16. God immediately takes this one specific case and turns it into a universal law. It's not about this one man anymore. It's now a permanent rule. If you blaspheme the name, the penalty is death. And notice that little word, whoever. It applies to absolutely everyone.
And then the law expands even further. Starting in verse 19, God lays out a brand new principle for any time someone gets hurt. It's the famous eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth idea. The punishment has to match the crime, one for one. It's a system of proportional justice. And really, this was a radical idea designed to stop escalating revenge cycles where a small injury could lead to a huge blood feud.
Okay, so this table really breaks it all down for us. It summarizes the new legal code perfectly. And look at how clear the distinctions are. If you kill a person, that's the death penalty. But if you kill an animal, it's about restitution. You have to pay back what was lost. And if you injure someone, you receive the same injury. See? It's a balanced, tiered system of justice. It's not one size fits all.
Then we get to verse 22, and honestly, this might be the most radical part of the whole chapter. This entire legal code for blasphemy, for murder, for injury, it applies to everyone, equally. It doesn't matter if you're a native-born Israelite or a foreigner who's just living with them, one law for all. No special treatment, no exceptions. That was a huge deal back then. And finally, verse 23 brings our story full circle. The law was given, and now it's carried out. You can just picture the solemn, heavy atmosphere as the community does what they were commanded to do. That moment of chaos that started with a single curse, it's over. It's been resolved by the creation and the execution of a new law. Order has been restored to the camp. So, this chapter leaves us with a pretty deep question to chew on, doesn't it? We started in this perfect, holy, sacred space, and we ended with the messy, complicated, difficult reality of justice in a real human community. For ancient Israel, those two things were completely linked. The laws of their society flowed directly from the holiness at its very center. Which makes you wonder, how does any community, even today, balance its highest, most sacred ideals with the very real, very human demands of justice?